Revealed. How one lonely CEO's touching gesture changed a nurse and her baby's life forever. In the heart of a bustling suburban town, where community spirit buzzed like summer cicadas, Sarah poured her soul into every shift as a devoted nurse, hoping to provide a better future for her darling baby girl, Emma. Yet, in the shadows of laughter and camaraderie, her heart felt heavy with despair. The bills stacked higher than her dreams, and looming financial anxiety tightened around her throat like a noose. Long hours at the hospital left her drained, wearing a smile while her heart ached for every missed moment with her infant. Each day was a battle fought fiercely, but the armor of love felt weakened under the deepening scars of hardship. Meanwhile, in his sleek corner office lined with plush decor and illuminated by a skyline view, James, the CEO of a booming tech company, stared blankly at his pristine desk. The merger was coming, and he felt a tightening knot in his chest at the thought of losing everything he had built. It was a world of flickering screens and ambitious targets, yet loneliness attached itself to him like a relentless shadow. But on this day, his attention wavered away from numbers when a local news segment captured his heart. The cameras swept over a dedication event, showcasing a hero Sarah standing selflessly against the chaos of a bustling hospital. Her grace under pressure brought tears to his eyes. This woman embodied strength, a single mother, championing the lives of strangers, while quietly battling her demons at home. Something ignited inside him. He couldn't sit idly by while someone like Sarah struggled, and so he made a decision. Without revealing his identity, James anonymously funded the hospital's rising needs, bringing warmth and relief amidst the budget crisis. As the days passed, Sarah could feel the weight lifting, unaware of the hidden hand that had orchestrated this miracle. She could breathe, and for the first time, hope began to bloom within her. But pride gnawed at her. Who was this mysterious benefactor? She couldn't let herself be cradled in gratitude and vulnerability. How would Emma view her if she couldn't provide on her own? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. At a local charity gala, where heartfelt stories mingled with artful laughter, Sarah and James found themselves unexpectedly face to face. Beneath twinkling lights, their vulnerability peeled back layers of arrogance and loneliness. They looked into each other's eyes, realizing they were not so different after all. The talk flowed effortlessly, sharing burdens and dreams, sparking flickers of camaraderie that danced like the bulbs overhead. As they spoke, pride began to soften, leaving room for the rekindling of hope that pushed through the cracks. Yet, as the evening wound down, a heavy question clung to the air between them. Would Sarah be able to embrace the lifeline offered? And could James truly let someone in to share the burdens of his glossy life? In that moment, the fragile connection they had formed set the stage for transformative journeys ahead. Would courage continue to guide their souls? Or would fear snuff out the flame of newfound camaraderie? The night closed, but the whispers of hope and uncertainty continued to echo, demanding to be answered. The following weeks felt like a roller coaster of emotions for Sarah. The memory of the gala lingered like a warm hug, a beacon in her otherwise clouded world. As she slid back into her routine of night shifts and frantic diaper changes, the threads of hope began to weave into her life. Emma giggled in her crib, reminding Sarah of the pure joy that existed even in the chaos. Each coo and smile made her heart swell, filling the void of worry with a sense of purpose. But the pressing reality of her situation never strayed too far. Bills were still a mountain to climb, and she felt the weight of pride gnawing at her, whispering that she had to stand strong on her own. The mystery of her anonymous benefactor danced in her mind. Who was this person who had made such a monumental difference in her life? She wished to thank them, to express her gratitude without the embarrassing shadow of vulnerability that always loomed close. The thought of asking for help pushed against her resolve. At the hospital, whispers of the mysterious donations buzzed among the staff. Rumors floated like confetti in the air, drawing her into conversations about how the improvements had transformed lives. It filled her with joy, yet a spark of frustration ignited within her. The irony gnawed at her. While someone else was stepping up for her, she felt the need to stand defeated. Meanwhile, James found himself in a peculiar state of introspection. His secluded lifestyle had begun to crack under the pressures of loneliness, and his hidden admiration for Sarah was surfacing. Amidst board meetings and corporate decisions, he caught himself daydreaming of their conversations, the laughter, the shared stories. He saw not just a nurse, but a tremendous spirit who captivated his heart without even knowing it. One evening, he stood on his balcony, staring into the distant skyline of the vibrant town where Sarah worked. With every breath, he felt the void of loneliness echo louder. Then came the realization, maybe transcending the walls of anonymity could bridge their worlds. What if he revealed himself even just a little? But what would that mean for Sarah? Would she see him as a knight in shining armor or as the daunting figure standing between her and the independence she craved? That weekend, the hospital hosted a fundraiser to support children's health initiatives. When Sarah walked through the doors, a new energy enveloped her. She took a deep breath, mingling with familiar faces while secretly hoping for some glimpse of her benefactor, even without knowing why. As she volunteered, arranging baskets and greeting families, her heart raced with anticipation and anxiety. James made his way through the crowd, every step leading him closer to a choice he feared would change everything. He had mulled over this moment countless times. As their eyes met, his heart thundered in his chest. Would this be the moment he stepped out of the shadows? But before he could take another step forward, a loud crash diverted his attention. A nearby display of colorful toys had toppled over, sparking chaos among children and parents alike. Sarah rushed to help as laughter mixed with shouts. In that split-second distraction, the moment hung tantalizingly in the air. For Sarah, it was an unwelcome jolt of reality. Could she continue to manage her emotions, her pride, and this newfound sense of hope in the face of uncertainty? For James, now anchored in confusion, would this disruption derail his intentions? As the noise calmed and the pieces were picked up, a fragile tension crackled between them. What lay ahead was uncertain, but beneath the surface, the currents of their lives were pulling them into a tide of change. Would they find the courage to embrace their truths, or would fate steer their paths apart once more? The night was young, and the answers they sought were just within reach. The evening buzzed with energy, and the atmosphere at the fundraiser shifted back to a warm camaraderie. Laughter and chatter filled the air as families enjoyed the festivities. Sarah, with her heart racing, steered her focus onto her responsibilities. Children tugged at her sleeves, drawing her into their innocent joy. Still, her mind wandered back to the glimpse of connection she had felt with James. She glanced around the crowd, searching for him, unsure of why she felt an inexplicable urge to see him again. James watched from a slight distance, still grappling with what had just transpired. The crash of toys had startled him, yet it had also provided a momentary reprieve from the weight of his decision. He admired Sarah as she knelt beside a small child, offering comfort and encouraging laughter while she set toys back in place. In that moment, she seemed both strong and vulnerable, a complicated mix that drew him in even more. He made up his mind. No more hiding. But as he stepped forward, he was held back by questions racing in his head. Was this the right time? How would Sarah react? Would she be grateful or would she push him away, afraid of owing someone like him? As the evening continued, Sarah's laughter blended effortlessly with the joyous sounds of the children, yet sharpened by an undercurrent of tension. What felt like hope also gnawed at her with uncertainty. At the same time, she wondered about the stranger who had transformed her life with generosity, laying a safety net under her when she felt destined to fall. Sarah. A familiar voice broke through her thoughts. It was Lily, her close friend and coworker, gracing her with a radiant smile. You look wonderful. Are you excited about the raffle? Of course. Sarah managed to smile, but her heart wasn't in it. just hoping we can raise enough for the kids. Lily tilted her head slightly, sensing Sarah's distraction. You've been so busy, but you can't forget to take care of yourself. You deserve happiness too, you know? Any news on that mystery benefactor of yours? No, nothing yet. Sarah sighed softly, feeling the weight of the situation. Lily's tone changed to something more serious. You know, it's okay to ask for help, Sarah. It doesn't mean you're weak. It shows you're strong enough to acknowledge what you need. Those words struck her. She was all about giving, helping patients, and ensuring their families felt supported. But seeking help for herself felt like admitting defeat. Meanwhile, James felt the urge to approach Sarah growing stronger. As he moved forward, the crowd seemed to swell around him, a shifting tide that momentarily left him adrift. The sound of children laughing seemed distant, almost muted by the chaos in his mind. Would his decision reverberate like the chaos of the toys toppling earlier? As he approached her, he caught her laughter pure, genuine, spilling like sunlight on the faces of those around her. Felt like a cue, a signal that the moment had come. But before he reached her, he was stopped by another hospital employee, rambling about something mundane. Each moment stretched, and his resolve wavered. Finally, he broke away, ready to take that plunge. But just as he did, the entire room seemed to spin. A sharp gasp echoed, silencing the noise of the festival. A child had fainted, collapsing to the ground. Sarah's instinct kicked in. She rushed toward the scene, her heart racing for an entirely different reason now. James stood rooted, witnessing her transformation into the compassionate force he admired. Would this crisis draw their fates together in the chaos? Or would it complicate everything even further? What would the night reveal? Sarah knelt by the child, her mind racing through training and protocols. The boy, no more than 7, lay pale on the ground. Parents gathered around, panic etched on their faces. But Sarah commanded the scene with calm confidence. She checked his pulse, feeling the quick thudding against her fingers, reassuring herself he was still somehow holding on. "Someone call 911, she shouted, her voice steady but urgent. The crowd reacted. Someone sprinted off to grab help. Sarah turned her attention fully to the boy, releasing the clutter of thoughts that clouded her mind. It was just her and him now. She held the child's hand, urging him to wake up. "Hey, buddy, can you hear me? You're going to be okay." Moments stretched into what felt like hours, but she kept her focus. Through her peripheral vision, she caught a glimpse of James finally making his way through the crowd. His expression was a mix of concern and determination. The sight of him fueled her own resolve. "What's his name?" James leaned in, his presence a steadying force as he joined her on her knees. "Jake," a frantic mother responded, her eyes brimming with tears. "He has asthma. He forgot his inhaler." "Got it," Sarah said, as if flipping a switch. "We need to do what we can until the ambulance arrives. Stay with me, Jake. Focus on my voice." Her own breath steadied, following the rhythm of her words. She glanced up at James, who nodded, signaling him to stay close. James reached for the boy's wrist, gently resting his hand on the small arm. "You're strong, Jake. Just remember that. Help is on the way." The words felt heavy as they hung in the air, but somehow, they also created a connection. Sarah watched as James absorbed the moment, his caregiving instincts rising to the surface. They both knew this was not just a responsibility. It was a shared, unspoken bond. The minutes crawled as the amber glow of sirens pierced the night air, approaching almost like a lifeline. Just then, Jake blinked, his eyes fluttering open. Relief washed through Sarah. "You did great, buddy. Just hold on a little longer." The mother knelt beside them, her tears now a mix of joy and fear. "I'm so sorry. It was just supposed to be a fun night sometimes. Things get out of hand," Sarah reassured her. "But you're not alone." James, still beside her, watched the exchange, realizing the depth of her strength and compassion. As the paramedics arrived, Sarah stayed at Jake's side, helping them assess and stabilize him for transport. The sense of urgency prevailed, but with each passing moment, she felt her earlier doubts receding. This was where she was meant to be, right in the thick of things, hands on, heart open. Once the boy was safely in the ambulance, Sarah stepped back, exhaustion washing over her. She turned to find James standing dazedly a few feet away, his brow still furrowed in concern. "Thank you for helping," Sarah began, her voice wavering slightly. "I don't know if I could have done this alone." "Of course," he replied, still looking at her with something that pierced deeper than admiration. There was a connection, an understanding born from shared experience and vulnerability, a canvas painted in human emotion. "I had wanted to talk to you tonight," he said, taking a hesitant step closer. "About everything. About us." A knot formed in Sarah's stomach. The chaos of the night felt like a prologue to something critically important. "What do you mean?" she began, her heart thumping in anticipation. But before she could finish, the sirens faded into the distance, leaving an echo of unresolved tension in the air. Then, a scream pierced the night, a different child, a different emergency, cherry red in the chaos of celebration. It sent a shiver down her spine. James glanced in the direction of the commotion. "I think we're needed again." As new urgency took over, Sarah felt the weight of the moment. How would they face whatever came next? Was this crisis just a spark for something deeper, or would it force them apart? As they rushed toward the new threat, the child's fate hung in the balance. What awaited them in this whirlwind of emotions would change everything. As Sarah and James pushed through the crowd, the air thickened with mounting tension. Parents were shouting, and children were crying. The lights of the carnival flickered ominously against the gathering dark, casting long shadows that seemed to mirror the fear in Sarah's heart. "Over there," a voice shouted, pointing to a cluster of onlookers. They rushed toward the gathering, adrenaline fueling their steps. Pushing through the anxious faces, Sarah spotted a little girl on the ground. She couldn't have been more than 5. Her pale face lit up in stark contrast against the grass. "Emma!" a voice shrieked from the crowd. A woman pushed forward, her hands trembling. "My baby!" Panic surged through Sarah. She dashed to the girl, crouching beside her. James dropped to the other knee, his expression one of determination. "What happened?" "She fainted." "I don't know, she was fine a minute ago," the mother cried, crouching like a broken doll. "Stay calm," Sarah said, her voice firm. "Emma, can you hear me?" She gently shook the girl's shoulders, but there was no response. Panic clawed at Sarah's insides. "James, check for a pulse." "Right," he said, moving swiftly. His fingers found the delicate wrist, and they both held their breath. After a moment that felt like an eternity, he nodded. "She's alive, but we need to rouse her." The mother's breath hitched. "Please, do something, Emma." "Sweetie, I need you to wake up," Sarah continued, squeezing the girl's hand. "We're here with you. Help is coming." James ripped a piece of medical tape from a first aid kit he had. "Let us see if we can get her to respond." He placed it firmly on her collarbone, then angled the flashlight he carried to better illuminate the girl's face. "Emma," Sarah called again, her voice rising with urgency. "Can you hear us?" Finally, the girl's eyelids fluttered, as if someone had thrown open a window on a bright morning. Slowly, Emma's eyes opened, but they were unfocused, drifting toward the ground. "Good. You're safe," James encouraged. "We need you to stay with us. Can you squeeze my hand?" Emma's fingers twitched, and Sarah felt a jolt of emotion. Hope flickered to life. "You're doing great, Emma." The girl's hand tightened around James's, and a small smile crept across her lips. "Mommy, I'm right here," the mother cried, relief flooding her voice. She looked at Sarah and James, eyes brimming with gratitude. "Thank you." As paramedics arrived, Sarah and James stepped back. They watched as professionals took over, efficiently assessing the little girl and stabilizing her condition. The mother clung to Emma, whispering reassurances into her ear. Before long, the ambulance doors opened, and the sweet scent of antiseptic filled the air. As they prepared to load Emma onto the stretcher, James turned to Sarah. "I can't believe we did that together," Sarah said, a smile spreading across her face. The tension that hung between them shifted, morphing into something softer, something undeniably genuine. Just then, another scream erupted from the far side of the park, echoing like a bell through the night. A boy had fallen from the carousel, his head bleeding profusely. Sarah felt her gut twist. "Sarah, we need to go," James urged, urgency replacing the serene moment they had shared. As they sprinted toward the chaos, Sarah's heart raced not just from fear for the child, but from the budding realization that the night was changing them, forging a connection neither of them expected. What awaited them in the turmoil would push their limits even further, testing their resolve and perhaps even what they felt for each other. They barreled through the crowd like forces of nature, hearts pounding in tandem with the ragged shouts echoing through the carnival grounds. James's grip was firm on Sarah's wrist, guiding her through the sea of panic until, finally, they reached the carousel. A small boy lay motionless, a few feet away from the spinning horses, his face contorted in pain. Bright red drenched his temple, a stark reminder of the accident's brutality. Around him, a circle of frantic adults had formed, their anxious voices blending into a cacophony. "Call for help," one man yelled, his phone already in hand as he dialed 911. "Stay back. Give him space," cried a woman, her voice wavering but authoritative. Sarah looked at James, sensing the urgency in his eyes. Felt like they were on the brink of a storm, ready to set things right. They knelt beside the boy, whose name tag read Oliver. "Oliver," James said, leaning close to the boy's ear. "Can you hear me? You're going to be okay." Sarah felt her throat tighten. She reached for his hand, feeling its warmth contrasting with the chill creeping in from the night air. "We're here with you," she said gently, drawing on the strength they'd shown moments ago with Emma. Oliver stirred slightly, his eyelids fluttering. "Mommy?" he whispered, his voice barely audible over the rising fear in the crowd. Just then, the boy's mother broke through the onlookers, her horror-stricken face painting a picture of devastation. "Oliver! Oh my God! Oliver!" She fell to her knees beside him, cradling his head in her lap and tears streaming down her cheeks. "Ma'am, we're here to help," Sarah assured her, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her anxiety. "We need to keep him calm. Can you talk to him?" The mother's trembling hands moved gently through her son's hair as she peered into his eyes, and the sight sent a wave of vulnerability crashing over Sarah. That connection, that raw love, ignited a fragile flame of hope. "I'm here, baby. It's going to be all right. Just stay with me," she sobbed. Kneeling beside them, James grabbed a towel from a first aid kit. "We need to apply pressure to the wound. Sarah, can you hold his hand?" As Sarah took Oliver's small, shaky hand into her own, the boy squeezed her fingers weakly. "Don't let go," he murmured. "I want tea," Sarah promised, blinking back tears. Her heart cracked open wider, as if driving home the truth of the moment. Despite the chaos surrounding them, she realized how deeply they were all in this together, strangers pulled into a universal human struggle. Within moments, the wail of sirens broke through, slicing into the frantic atmosphere. Medics arrived with years of training underscoring their every movement. They quickly assessed the situation, but Sarah noticed a flicker of recognition in one of their eyes as they saw the devastation etched on the mother's face, and it sent a chill down her spine. James and Sarah stepped back, surrendering to the paramedics as they lifted Oliver onto a stretcher, still holding his mother's hand. The young boy's eyes fluttered again, and he whispered, "Stay, we're right here," Sarah assured him, her voice steadying as she found James's eyes. The moment stretched, their emotions mingling in the air like the clamor around them as they walked away. The adrenaline slowly ebbed, leaving behind an echo of intimacy that had captured them both. Felt real now, the connection forming amid the chaos. "Did you feel that?" James asked softly, glancing sideways at Sarah. "Yeah," she breathed, swallowing hard as the night's events replayed in her mind. "But what happens next? Can we keep this up?" He hesitated, then took her hand, entwining their fingers as the ambulance drove off into the night. "Let us find out together." Just then, from across the street, a fire erupted, the flames licking upward and igniting a bright orange glow against the darkened sky. "What now?" Sarah breathed, heart racing anew. "We keep going," James replied, his grip tightening. "And we figure this out together." The crackle of the fire shot through the air, pulling people from their shocked reveries. The crowd shifted, some scattering like roaches under a light, desperate to flee from the unexpected danger. Others, however, were drawn toward the chaos, curiosity mingling with the instinct for survival. Sarah's heart raced as she stared at the flames, flickering and sprawling against the inky night sky. It felt surreal, as if the world was crumbling around them while they stood anchored, locked in the moment between chaos and connection. "James, what if?" "There's no time to think about what ifs," he interrupted, determination etched across his face. "We need to move." He tugged her along, and with every hurried step, Sarah felt the weight of the night shift from one burden to another. "But what if it's dangerous?" James looked over his shoulder, his eyes fierce. "We can't ignore people who need help. We have to do something." They stepped into the crowd once more, adrenaline pumping through their veins, placing them back at the center of another unfolding disaster. As they neared the blaze, its heat washed over them in waves, mingling with the smells of burnt wood and acrid smoke. Twisted metal and flaming debris fell like confetti. But Sarah's gaze was drawn to a figure just beyond the inferno. An elderly man stood frozen by a parked car, staring wide-eyed at the fire raging above him. His frail hands clenched a leash attached to a small, frightened dog. "Help!" he shouted, but the noise of the crowd swallowed his plea. Without thinking, James lunged forward. "Stay with me," he shouted back to Sarah, who hesitated only for a moment. They were falling deeper into the spiral of reckless courage. They rushed toward the man, dodging onlookers and sidestepping falling embers. "Sir, we're here," Sarah called out, reaching for the leash. "We'll get your dog." The panic written on his face was impossible to miss. "I can't leave him. He is scared." "Neither can we," James said, his composure surprising even himself. "Let us take him together." With a careful touch, Sarah eased down to the small dog, who trembled violently against the leash. The man's hands shook as he gently tugged the dog closer, a knot of tension pulling tight in Sarah's chest. They had only moments before the flames spread further, but the connection was palpable in that instant's fear entangled with an instinct to protect. "Come here, buddy," she cooed, her voice softening as she reached her hand out, palm smooth with encouragement. The dog darted forward, sensing the warmth of her presence. In the chaos, time seemed to blur. It felt as though they were wrapped in a bubble of stillness, fighting against the chaos swirling around the edges. The dog finally responded. It darted straight into Sarah's arms. Relief flooded through her as she cradled its quaking body against her chest. "Careful," the old man called as he slowly backed away, his focus never wavering. Once they were safely away from the flames, Sarah turned to him. "Is anyone else with you?" He shook his head, tears gathering in his eyes. Thank you so much." James smiled, visibly relieved, but he didn't have time to savor the victory. The fire raged louder, threatening to pull in more souls. "We have to keep moving," he urged again. In that moment, Sarah looked back at the blaze, a mix of dread and resolve churning inside her. There was more than just this fire. So many people, so many stories caught in a single night of desperation. Are we brave enough? She wondered aloud, feeling the weight of the space around them. "Braver together," James replied, squeezing her hand tighter. "We're stronger than we know." As they turned back toward the chaos, the sirens wailed in unison, a reminder of what was at stake. Would they be able to face whatever was to come? And above it all, a voice echoed in Sarah's mind. Why did their hearts race like this, battling against hope and fear? What if they struck through the flames not just for those around them, but for something greater within themselves? The night felt larger than before as they stepped forward into the unknown, ready for whatever awaited them together. The roar of the crowd echoed in Sarah's ears as she clutched the trembling dog closer, instinctively shielding it. She could feel its heartbeat against her chest, a reminder of the fragile lives intertwined in this moment. We can't stop now, right? She breathed to James, still focused on the scene around them. Never, he replied, his voice steady as they pushed through the throng of frantic people. Each face they passed held a mix of fear, concern, and rising desperation. The urgency felt alive, pulsing with every shudder of the ground beneath their feet. Look, Sarah shouted, gesturing toward a small cluster of people huddled near a building. There, a woman cradled a child, each of them trapped in an invisible cage of panic. Smoke swirled ominously in their direction. She could see the child's wide eyes, filled with a fear she recognized all too well. Let us go, James said, taking the lead again. Help me keep them safe. Sarah nodded, her heart racing as they moved, instinct pulling them closer to those who needed them most as they neared. Sarah called out to the woman, "We're here to help. Is anyone else with you?" She noticed the woman's gaze darting around frantically. "No, it's just us. My husband, he went back for the dog." The woman's voice cracked, her composure slipping as she rocked the child. "Okay, just stay calm," James reassured her, his hands raised as if to shield them from the mounting chaos. "We'll get you to safety." Then, a loud crash echoed through the air. A section of the roof above them creaked and groaned, threatening to give way. "We've got to go," Sarah urged, stepping closer to the woman, who was shaking. "Can you carry him?" the woman asked, gripping her child closer. Sarah didn't hesitate. Gently, she reached for the child, cradling him against her hip. He was small and surprisingly light, but the weight of his panic made her heart ache. As the flames flickered dangerously close, she felt a surge of protectiveness. "Let us move," James yelled, pulling them away from danger. The crowd was surging now, anxiety radiating like static in the air. They were a human wave, tumbling together, individuals melding into a collective force of survival. Suddenly, Sarah stopped. What if we don't find the husband? What if he doesn't make it? The thought struck her like a blow. The sirens wailed louder, every honk a reminder of the reality pressing down on them. "We can't think that way," James said fiercely, looking deep into Sarah's eyes. "He could be okay. We can't lose hope. Not now." His words vibrated with urgency, pushing her fear aside. Yet the doubt lingered. But what if he cut her off? "We're here to help everyone we can. That's our responsibility. We'll get them to safety. We'll find him." Through the haze of smoke, sparks danced like fireflies, reminding her of the flickering life around them. They pressed on, determination fueling their steps. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours as they maneuvered toward an opening in the crowd. Sarah felt the child shift in her arms, glancing up at her with trusting eyes. "Do you see your daddy?" she asked softly, hoping for a smile. For a moment, the child blinked and gave a fragile nod. Good. Hope was still flickering within these walls of panic as they emerged into a relatively quieter area. Sarah spotted a group of firefighters arriving, rushing toward the inferno, their silhouettes framed against the chaotic backdrop. "Look," she called out. "Help is here." But just as relief settled in, a new wave of fear surged within her. What if he doesn't get out in time? The question hung in the air, heavy and real, leaving a chill in its wake. James squeezed her hand tighter, grounding her. "We'll get through this, I promise." With renewed resolve, they turned back toward the fire. Whatever awaited them, they would face it together. But then, a gut-wrenching scream erupted from the depths of the chaos. "Help! Somebody! Please!" And just like that, Sarah knew the night had much more in store for them, challenges yet unseen. Tests of true bravery that would stretch the limits of their hearts. Could they be the ones to change someone's fate? The scream rang in Sarah's ears, stark and chilling, cutting through the chaos around them. She turned towards the sound, adrenaline surging anew. "We have to help," she exclaimed, adrenaline igniting the urgency within her. The little boy she held whimpered, squeezing her tighter. "Stay close," James shouted, his eyes scanning the crowd, searching for the source of the plea. They pushed onward, weaving through the throng of disoriented and frantic people. The heat of the flames kissed the air, thick and suffocating. Every heartbeat echoed with a mix of fear and determination as they neared the source of the scream. Sarah spotted a man pinned under a fallen beam, his leg trapped, blood pooling around him. Panic surged as the realization set in this wasn't just an emergency. It was a desperate race against time. "Hold on," Sarah yelled, trying to keep her voice steady amidst the rising panic. "We're coming. James, we need to lift it." Sarah pointed at the heavy beam, knowing they couldn't wait for more help. The man's face twisted with pain, his eyes wide with fear. "On three. Ready?" He glanced at Sarah, the resolve in his eyes steadying her trembling hands. She nodded, determination tightening her grip on the child as James slipped closer. 1, 2, 3. They heaved together, muscles straining as they lifted the beam just enough for the man to wriggle free. For a second, Sarah thought they had done it. But the moment of relief was short-lived. The structure creaked ominously, threatening to collapse further. "Get him out now. We don't have time," she shouted, her own heartbeat drumming in her ears. James reached down and grabbed the man under his arm. With gritted teeth, they pulled him free just as the beam shifted precariously. A second later, they stumbled back, the beam crashing down just inches from their feet. "Are you okay?" Sarah asked, breathless. The man winced but nodded. "Thank you." I thought his words faded, the terror in his eyes replaced by gratitude. "We have to get to safety," James urged. "This way." They moved quickly, weaving through the crowd, carrying the injured man between them. Sarah felt a rush of pride mingling with her fear. This was what they had come for, every moment leading to acting, to saving lives. The child in her arms tugged at her shirt, his voice a tiny whisper. "Where's my daddy? We're going to find him," Sarah promised, trying to soothe him as her heart clenched. "He's going to be okay." But deep down, doubt bubbled beneath the surface. What if they couldn't find the man? What if they lost him too? Over there. James pointed ahead toward a group of firefighters, flashing lights twinkling like stars amidst the chaos. "They'll help." With every step forward, hope blossomed. But then, another crashing noise erupted from the building behind them. Panic rippled through the crowd again. A fresh wave of fear surged as more voices called out for help. A powerful pulse of desperation. "There are so many," Sarah murmured, overwhelmed. Every plea burned into her heart. "What if we can't get to all of them?" "We do what we can," James said, his voice firm. "One step at a time." Every second felt relentless. In that moment, she realized she couldn't bear another thought of losing lives when they could be saving them. They reached the group of firefighters, breathless with urgency. "We have people trapped. Please, we need help." The frenzy of their surroundings faded as Sarah felt the weight of responsibility press on her. Hope rose and fell like the flames around them. But as the firefighters rushed to act, a new chilling scream pierced the air, louder, closer. "Help. Please help her. She's trapped inside." This time, it was a different voice, a woman's, frantic and filled with raw terror. Sarah's heart twisted in her chest as she met James's gaze, each of them knowing what had to come next. "Let us go," he shouted, pulling her forward. Could they face what lay ahead? Again stepping into the fire? The night had transformed into a trial of their very souls, and it was only just beginning. Sarah and James surged toward the building where the latest scream had echoed, the air thick with heat and urgency. Shadows danced around them, flickering like ghosts in the chaos. "Stay close," James urged, his determination mingling with fear as they dashed through the thickening smoke, the urgency pressing against them like the weight of the world. "Can you hear me?" Sarah shouted, scanning the building for signs of the trapped woman. The cries came again, louder now, sharp with pain and desperation. Each word was a knife, driving them deeper into the fray. As they approached the entrance, the heat intensified, becoming an almost palpable force attempting to pull them back. But the sound of another sob sent an electrifying jolt through Sarah. This woman needed them, and there was no turning back. United by purpose, they pushed forward, stepping into the teetering structure that threatened to collapse around them. "Where are you?" Sarah called, her voice breaking with concern as she maneuvered through the scattered debris. Each step felt slower than the last, but hope pushed her onward, igniting a tiny flame amidst the darkness. There, James pointed toward a door slightly ajar, its frame outlined by flickers of orange. "Stay behind me." In that moment, the world faded into the background. They burst through the door together and found the woman pinned beneath beams, her expression a mix of terror and relief. "Please, help me," she cried, the panic thick in her voice. "Hold on. We're here," Sarah reassured, rushing to the woman's side. The reality of the situation gripped her heart. They had come to save her. "James, we need to lift this." Every muscle strained against the weight of uncertainty as they strategized how to free her without causing further damage to the already unstable structure. As they coordinated their efforts, Sarah felt alive in a way she hadn't before. There was raw power in unity, and beneath the shadow of desperation, a bond began to blossom, one that solidified through shared sacrifice. On 3, James counted, determination radiating from him. With each number, Sarah felt the fear slip away, replaced by unwavering resolve. 1, 2, 3. They lifted with every ounce of their strength, the wood creaking ominously as they lifted the heavy beam inch by inch. As the trapped woman wriggled free, relief washed over Sarah, but it was fleeting. Just as their eyes met in understanding, the building groaned again, ominously. "Run!" Sarah shouted, adrenaline coursing through her veins. They darted back just as cracks splintered the roof above them. As the beams began to fall, Sarah caught a glimpse of the woman's grateful smile, a fleeting memory of hope brightening the chaos. Outside, the air felt fresher, the weight of the journey lifting as they staggered into the open. The woman collapsed into the arms of a waiting firefighter, and tears of joy mixed with the remnants of fear. "Thank you," she gasped, her voice breaking with emotion. Sarah turned to James, her heart racing not only from the physical exertion but from an overpowering sense of unity she hadn't anticipated. In that shared moment they had changed someone's life. Time hung suspended between them, thick with emotion, acknowledgement, and the warmth of connection. "What now?" she whispered, looking deep into his eyes, searching for the next step. "I don't know," James replied softly, their breaths mingling in the chaos. But uncertainty felt less daunting now. The roar of sirens continued to surround them, a distant reminder that their night was far from over. Just as the weight of the moment hung in the air, another scream pulsed through the crowd, freezing them both. A little girl had vanished in the commotion, a mother's cries pierced through the noise like a siren. "James," Sarah said, her voice steady yet trembling with determination. "We can't leave her." He nodded, conviction flaring in his eyes. Together, as they embraced the chaos once more, a rush of affection surged between them. No longer was their relationship defined by mere circumstance or unspoken admiration. They were partners, plain and simple, united in purpose, forged in fire, ready to face everything the night had left to throw at them. They plunged into the next wave of urgency, hearts pounding in sync as they tracked the cries of the frantic mother. It was clear the night demanded everything from them, but they found unity in the fight, a connection stronger than fear itself. Together, they would illuminate the darkness not only for others, but for themselves as well. As they lunged into the fray, Sarah felt the flames of resilience ignite within her. This wasn't merely a night of chaos. It was a night of transformation, where strength met vulnerability, and heart met hope. "Let us go save her," James shouted, their voices melding into a symphony of purpose, ready to restore the light when darkness threatened to consume all. And so, hand in hand, they pressed forward into the storm, ready to make a difference. The night had only just begun, and the light of their courage would guide them through the darkness. The change within them, this powerful, brave kind of love, felt like their true saving grace, igniting their path ahead. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next life-changing stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure others find this tale of hope. Comment below with your feelings about this incredible ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans know the importance of supporting our community.